Hello and welcome to this Learn tutorial on Integrated Developer Environments, or IDEs as they are better known. So what we're going to look for in this tutorial, we're going to look at first of all, what are they, what they're used for, then we're going to look at some of the features of IDEs, and finally we're going to have a bit of a comparison, pros and cons between IDEs and just simple code editors. Okie dokie, so let's get started. So first of all, what are integrated developer environments? Well, the most important thing about an IDE is that it's a comprehensive software application for developing rather than just a basic application, and it contains additional features specifically for programming that you wouldn't find in a simple text editor or in a code editor. So sort of at this end of the spectrum over here, you've got a notepad which just literally lets you type text. At this end here, you've got Eclipse, which is a fully featured professional IDE. And then in between, you got your kind of Notepad pluses, which have some of the features of IDEs, but some of the simplicity of text editors. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these features. Well, the first and one of the most important one is syntax highlighting. And what this means is that different syntax, different pieces of code are displayed in different colors. So for instance here, we've got that our imports, any of the built-in words that within the language are in orange, functions are in purple, and then strings are in green, etc. And this makes code really easy to read, and it does help in debugging as well, because here if I put a double speech marks there instead of instead of an inverted comma, then this string wouldn't close and my syntax highlighter would highlight this line and the next line in green. So I'd be able to see that and go, oh, hang on a minute, that's not right. And then I notice that I've used the wrong thing here. So that's syntax highlighting. Let's just show you that in action. So if I said, let's go print, there we go, nice to meet you. And then if I use the wrong one and then just put Bob, you can see here, let's do name, you can see here that it hasn't changed the syntax color when it should have done. And also it's indented here, which we'll look in a minute. Let's just go back here and then just put time.sleeve1 or something like that. So you can see here, if I actually, let's change the color back now, but you can see it's kept it the same. If I change that to the proper speech marks, then it will now have changed this back to white. Okie dokie. So that's syntax highlighting. There we go. So that's feature number one. The next feature is similar to this, and this is pretty print. And what this is about is it's using formatting rules automatically to help you code more readable code. So for instance here, this is some perfectly valid code here, and this is taken from Wikipedia. I'll put the link in the video, and it's perfectly valid. It will execute, but it is quite difficult to read, and that's because we've not used any indentation or proper use of white space. Whereas if you look here, you can see each of the bits and bats are on different lines, so each line of code is on different lines. When we open a bracket and we're moving into a piece of code, then it's on a new line and the code is indented. And you can see here the if and the else chain there are both got the same level of indentation. And there's plenty of white spaces in there as well. And it's all indented in the same steps in. So those are, it's what's known as pretty print. Let me show you an example of that. So if we go back to here, let's go back to our code editor. This is idle, this one. And if we do a for loop, let's do a for loop inside of a for loop. So for I in a range 10, and if I do 5, there we go. And then let's do x in range 20. You can see here that each time I go inside of another for loop, it's automatically indenting the correct amount. And it has other features as well, but it makes the code really easy to read. So that is pretty print. Good. There we go. Let's move on to the next one. Expandable and collapsible code blocks. Now, what this does is it's just a method of displaying your code. It doesn't actually edit the code itself, but just a way of displaying the code so it's easier to read. And it gives you the option here by clicking on the plus and minus to either show the contents of a function or particular piece of code or to hide it. So here is the full code there for this section, and then you could just click on the blocks, the minuses, and that will just show you the function header. So let's have a look at that, show you that in action. So if we go to this file here, you can see it's sort of 60 lines of code. I'm having to scroll to get from bit to bit, and which means that when I'm editing it, it's going to be quite difficult to see what's happening. So what I can do is, when I'm editing it, just minimize all of the functions. Let's move that down a bit. And if I want to look at a particular part, all I have to do is do plus, okay, and we can look at particular bits. If you're looking at a function but you want to hide a particular loop, you can hide that loop. So you can just see, okay, there's the loop, then this, then this. So it just makes code easier to read whilst you are editing. But it doesn't actually edit the code itself, it just hides it from view. Okay, so that's expandable and collapsible code blocks. The next thing we've got is auto-completion and context-sensitive prompts. Now this is really useful if you are a beginner. Once you're, or if you happen to be programming in a language that you don't normally code in, or you're using an application programmer's interface which you're not particularly familiar with, and you can't remember all of the methods or the functions, well, this will give you a few options. It's not perfect, but it does help. So it'll either offer to complete code for you, or it will suggest what needs to go inside of, for instance, here where you've got the input parameters. So let me show you that in action. So let's go to idle here again, and if I'm going to print, as soon as I start typing PR, and if I press tab, it offers me a list of some common functions or procedures that might be used. So I could click on print, there we go, and if I open the bracket, here it's now telling me what input parameters into that function are required. So it's going to need a value or multiple values, and then you need to know what is the separator is and whether it's an end, and all these different things like that. So it is really useful, especially if you're a beginner. Okay, so that's auto-completion and context-sensitive prompts. These context-sensitive prompts here, this one didn't particularly work too when I typed it there, when I typed in per, but what it tends to, here we go, is in a really good IDE, it will know what you're programming, and it will have a good idea of what to suggest here, what kind of things are going to go next. So next, error detection. This is where the IDE can spot errors in your code itself. So it could be a variety of errors, it could be a syntax error, it could be where you've referenced a variable before you've assigned it, or you could be referencing it out of scope, a whole host of different errors. Now in some IDEs it will pick it up whilst you're actually typing it. In some IDEs, the more basic ones, you have to click save first. So for instance here, if I type print hello world, there we go. If I save it, it's fine, there you go, and it's not found any errors. But if I were to change from print to parent, there you go, you can see as soon as I save it, it notices here that I undefined named print, there you go, because it's the wrong spelling. And if I were to come here and change that to x, there we go, x equals 5, there we are, and change that back to print, there we go, you'll see that it will pick up an error here, and it says undefined name x. And that's because here, at this point in the program, it's not yet been defined. Okie doke. Okay, so moving on to the next one, which is Debugging Assistance. So Debugging Assistance is probably, actually I've left this to last because it's probably the most important one of the most important tools that you can use in an IDE. And the way it works is that it allows you to stop your code at set points or after each line and inspect the content of variables so you can work out if something's going wrong, work out what's going wrong to see the content of variables and see how your program flows through. So let me show you that in action. Here we go, and let's use Tony. So here I've got a program, does also bits and bats, and what I can do now, instead of clicking run, which will run the whole script, is I can click on debug, and what I can do is I can choose step into, and over here, as things get defined, it's going to show me the content of variables. So you can see as I've finished the first line, we've imported the module, the time module, which is a built-in module. And if we just go right through, we can see, okay, well, it's created a function foo. There we go. And there we go. And again, there we've created a variable and its value is 5. And you can keep going through and it'll start executing it. As soon as I click step into it, should open up another window with that module. There you go. So now we're inside of the foo function, and because we're inside of it here, it's created its local variable there that only belongs in that function. So you can see the difference, if there is one, between the local X and the global X there. Okay, so that's really, really useful. It can be used, let's click stop. It can also be used as well in conjunction with the assistant. So there, if I click there and I click run, it should analyze and it'll give me some warnings. So these aren't errors as such, but they're things that could lead to an error or is inefficiency in your code. So you've not used time, so it's saying, well, why have you bothered importing it? Not used those variables here, so why have you bothered creating them? And here you've redefined the X outside of its scope, which is pretty bad programming, really. You should be avoiding that. So all of these tools are great, especially for beginners, because they'll pick up on little things that, because they're not errors, the programming language itself won't pick up on, but it will help you code better. Okie dokie, so that is the last of the features of IDEs, which brings us on to the last part, which is comparing IDEs to code editors. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? Well, fully functioning IDEs like Eclipse down here, generally you get faster development time if you're doing bigger projects especially. And it's quicker and easier to debug, especially for beginners. So as you get more advanced, you might not need to use a lot of the debugging features, especially you get more confident in a particular language. But it is quite useful, especially if you're unfamiliar with a language. Disadvantages: each IDE, generally most of them only work with one programming language, or they might only work on one particular operating system. So you're going to have to install multiple IDEs, and they generally are quite a lot larger in terms of their storage requirements and the RAM overhead than code editors. So if you have only got a limited size hard drive or a not particularly fast system, an old system, a code editor might be better. And these interfaces tend to be quite cluttered, lots of things in there, which can distract or be quite daunting for beginners. So that's another disadvantages. Code editors, well, generally you can have a single editor, whether you're doing HTML, Python, JavaScript, whatever you're going to do, Java, you can code in a single editor, which is good. Low overhead and RAM, so again, just using less system space up. And the interface itself generally is a bit simpler, but not always. Some IDEs are quite simple, whereas some code editors like Notepad++ has quite a lot going on at the top, but it tends to keep it out of your way. And the disadvantage of code editors, limited debugging assistance, so very, very limited. It's not going to trace through your program. And you need to be able to compile and run the program separately using a separate program. So generally, if I'm coding in Notepad++ and I'm doing Python, I'll also have open a command window to run the actual script itself. Okie dokie, so that is IDEs. If you got any questions, just pop them in the comments. And if you did like it, then please subscribe and like the video. Thank you very much.